I would like to call this house to order. Before the debate begins, I'd like to introduce the two finalist teams. First, on the government side, we have St. Joseph Private School, whose Prime Minister is Michelle Ting Chung Sung. He's a whose Prime Minister is Rachel Chai Sing Ru. Okay, sorry for my mistake. The Prime Minister is Glenys Wong. Here's a few facts about Glenys Wong. Glenys Wong mentions the fact that she loves to sleep, and the reason why she loves to sleep is the fact that she does not dream. She does not. Alright, let's move on to the Deputy Prime Minister, which is Michelle Ting Chung Sung. Here's a cool fun fact about her. She loves whale, and a fun fact about whale that she provided is that whales are cute. And another fun fact that she provided is that she loves Joel from SM Lodge. And finally, on the government team, which is the government whip, we have Rachel Chai Sin Ru. Alright. So, here's for Rachel, she mentions a few things that she wants in a man instead. So, if you fit this description, please do hit her up. Here are as follows. The man must be below 170, thick hair, small eyes, and a red flag. Order. Alright, order. Order in the house. We have to continue. Alright. Now, on the opposition side, we have SM Lodge. With the opposition leader being Keegan Chang Liang Zhi. Here's a fun fact about him. He's been debating for 4 years and competing for SSIDC for 4 consecutive years. And he plans to bring SSIDC back to SM Lodge. In his words, he says that SSIDC is his backyard. To continue, we have Joel Marisa Hee Siang Ying. I'm sorry. Here's a few fun facts about her. She is cool. She loves math and physics, specifically integration and gravitation. Also, did I mention that she's cool? And she has some gratitude towards the speaker, the second speaker of the government team, which is Joel. She appreciates the fact that right now she is on the same stage as her, debating against her. Oh, Michelle, my bad, sorry. Michelle, I'm sorry. finally, the opposition whip. The opposition whip who mentions that she's very hungry and she loves to sleep. Oh, and not to mention that she plugged in the Lodge School's debaters IG, which is LNS_debaters. Alright. Order. Let's move on. Now, a brief rundown of the rules of this debate. Each speaker will speak for 7 minutes. The timekeeper will ring the bell once at the first minute, after which points of information can be offered. A point of information must not take longer than 15 seconds. If it is denied, a debater must not offer a point of information again for another 20 seconds, otherwise it will be deemed as barraging. Before we begin, a reminder to everyone in the room currently to not make too much noise, as the debaters do not have any mics for the POI. So it's to ensure that the adjudicators are able to hear what they are asking. Alright, thank you. Therefore, I would like to invite the Prime Minister to give her speech. Here.
Hello? Okay. Is there a way to make it be heard if I speak at this volume? Alright, so please tell me if I start moving backwards or anything, because I have a tendency to move. Am I allowed to give shoutouts beforehand? Okay, so a very quick thank you to most of all my coach and people, all my seniors that have been through with me for debating, especially like for me, Jack, and probably from other schools, from my school as well. And shout out to Daphne, hopefully she does well in Serbia. And most of all, so grateful to my teammates, who I am so really grateful for. If not, I would not be here at all today. And they have taught me so many things in my debating career, which it hasn't started much yet, but so I'll start my speech in 3, 2, and 1. Thanks. This is not much of one. Okay, never mind. Ditch that. Okay, starting my speech in 3, 2, and 1. I bet half of you in this room find it hard to get into a healthy, proper, fulfilling relationship. That includes me probably. So this is what we can provide you under side proposition and side proposition only. I'll be structuring my speech like this, starting off with a two-fold setup, moving on to two of my arguments, which is on firstly, on fulfilling long-term relationship under government side, and secondly, on democratizing romantic connection, right? So our setup is a twofold. Firstly, on what government world looks like. we support two things. Firstly, we tell you that we support the engagement of human with AI chatbot. We think that this is fully a choice, i.e., the world look like a guy pursuing a chatbot that he can personalize and communicate with, to the point where he can build a personal and committed relationship with this chatbot. Secondly, we think that the basis of this relationship is mutual connection, mutual interest in each other, and a willingness to accept each other unconditionally. This is true because these programs are made to organize information you give them and compare it to countless of data from the internet and generate a proper response to you. This program have built-in data encryption, and it's like bots who will preserve you at all times. They are programmed to check previous conversations and are able to personalize to the user's liking because it is able to read you better. It further allows the user to confide in these bots, right? I.e., by calling you pet names like baby or honey or etc. And they are able to serve you, and they are not able to cheat because that's literally the way they are programmed to. So, second point on seconds. Who are the ones looking for these AI romantic relationships then? We think that this looks like two people. Firstly, the kind of people who cannot find romantic connection in real life, because if they can find, they wouldn't be confiding in these AI bots anyway. Secondly, we think that these are the people who want to date, but it's being driven away by the current dating scene. I.e., like these people are toxic right now. You see, go on social media, you see breakups, you see cheatings, you see abuse happening in real life. The bottom line here is, if people want to find a romantic relationship with humans, sure, go ahead. We are supporting the people who feel hopeless, who wants to opt into this AI romantic relationship in the first place. So, I'll be forwarding two arguments here. Firstly, on fulfilling long-term relationship under government, I'll be answering two questions then. Firstly, on why is this necessarily true? Two reasons. Firstly, on the fact that the hallmark of fulfilling relationship which is communication, connection, and trust. These all can be fulfilled by AI romantic relationships, right? So secondly, even if the relationship isn't genuine, we tell you that the impact still materialize. Why? AI only works based on the information you give them as well as the information they receive online. It generates a response to you, and the response are often human-like and they are seemingly genuine, right? So it elicits an empathetic connection for these people who forms bonds with them. I.e., how some people go online and say thank you and please to ChatGPT even though they know it's AI. Humans themselves are really good at establishing connections with AI in the very first place. So secondly, moving on to why this matters, right? So if this is targeted to people who can't find real romantic relationship, it helps them find a romantic connection with another being. It doesn't help them, it helps them to not feel so lonely in this world, and it uniquely gives them the opportunity to feel this romantic connection, which only can exist on site government. And secondly, on the fact that these people who choose to date AI, even though they can date humans, they can find emotional connection with these bots if they so choose. We think that there are no harms from human wanting to find into these relationships then. So moving on to my second argument that I'll be forwarding, which is on democratizing romantic connections. Three questions that I will be answering here. Firstly, on why certain people struggle with certain romantic relationship under opposition side. We think that these are caused by two reasons. Firstly, people who are not fit the beauty standards and hard it to find love. If you aren't tall enough, or if you aren't in a certain way, if you don't fit the beauty standards, you have a lot of trouble finding love because human beings have high and very high standards, which makes it really, really difficult and impossible to find one. Secondly, people with flawed personalities, they find it really, really hard to find connections, right? People with certain personality traits who aren't just likable and are just probably comparatively more toxic or not well, like often find it hard to find difficulty to find love here. So the bottom line here is that these people are being rejected by society, are being rejected by wider society even, because the dating scene among humans grow increasingly fickle and toxic. Certain people are not able to find love to a certain extent, right? And thirdly, on why people with social disorders, like who will struggle to make human connection, like social anxiety, etc., right? So here, moving on to the next question, what is the impact then? We think that these people are often rejected by most people because when they try to connect and sustain a proper relationship, even if they try to succeed, right? Alright? This means that they are left with negative feelings. We tell you that this can go two ways. Firstly, it can turn their personal pain inwards. It means that they look around at everyone who are in a relationship, they doubt themselves, they feel sad, they feel lonely, and might even go to some extreme mentalities and mindsets to doubt themselves and moving on forward with their sad mindset that they have to live on with the rest of their life. Secondly, we tell you that some other people would probably turn their pain outward. A key example of this is the incel culture, right? When they start bearing hatred for the dating scene and the real world because of how it's treating them, this demographic of people will start dehumanizing people who do not want to date. They'll start generalizing women and probably men, and they'll find communities online who literally bear the same perception. They faster and reinforce their hatred on the real world, all the demographic people who do not want to date them, right? We tell you that this is so harmful because it promotes violence towards other women, like probably when the men say, oh, I'm not the problem and you are. And secondly, we tell you that it promotes really, really unhealthy relationship, like abuse, and like it's okay, just accept it, right? So, and moving on to my last question then, what is the comparative here? The comparative here is that the AI do not care how you look about what your personality is like. They don't build their own independent perception of you. They exist just to serve you, to fulfill your needs and make you feel wanted. They're able to satisfy you and your needs and be free of your judgment, right? Meaning, you'll be able to receive an unconditional love from it in so far as you are able to confide in these things. And we tell you that all of this only can manifest under side proposition. St. Joseph Private School, take this debate from the very first speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Now I would like to invite the opposition leader to give his speech. Hear, hear.
Am I clearly audible? Or should I go closer? Is it better now? Okay, please allow me like 30 seconds to give a short appreciation. Firstly, to our coach, Ryan Wong, flying all the way from Singapore. Here totally voluntarily unfunded, so we are extremely grateful. Number two, we are also extremely grateful to our school, to our teachers for giving us so much support throughout the past year when we've been preparing so incredibly hard for this tournament. And also, we'd like to thank our parents for making us lead up to this moment here, for enrolling us in the first place. And lastly, also extremely grateful to my two teammates. We weren't together since day one. It was quite last minute, but extremely grateful on how it has worked out. Yeah. Okay. I am ready to start my speech. I will start in 3, 2, 1. Hello, government are like those parents who promised me a pet dog but then gave me a life-size plushie of a dog. I am forced to believe that this plushie is real. I am forced to believe that this plushie can actually bark at me and can respond to me. I don't understand how their case works. Now, a few things I'll be doing in my speech today. Firstly, on setup, 4 layers. Number 1, on AI programming. Number 2, on the distribution of such models. Number 3, on the people likely to opt in. And number 4, on how AI relationships actually look like. And then after that, I'll move on to one argument on how AI relationships are likely to perpetuate real-life toxicity. Then before that, responses. Now, firstly, they kept trying to tell us that these conversations are so meaningful. I tell you that all AI models are trained on specific models. It means that they base their responses on previous conversations that will happen. It's nothing meaningful when you're just repeating every single response over and over again when it's a computer responding to you. There is no real life interaction when people are actually able to cater to your feelings actually. Now number 2, on how people with bad personality traits find love. We tell you that on your side, you endorse negative behaviors because people will never change. And when people never change because you keep on feeding them positive reinforcement, they are likely to harm society, which is what I'll be talking about in my argument today. Now, lastly, on how people with social issues can communicate. I think this is extremely ridiculous coming out from side government because this motion is only exclusive to romantic relationships. You need to realize that people in status quo have friends. People have to communicate with friends. You are unable to solve this so-called like social stigma or whatever kind of thing because people have friends and have to communicate with friends. I don't understand how you solve this on your side. Now, moving on to a few lines of setup that's crucially missed out by side government here. Number one, who programs the AI? We tell you it's like distributed tech companies, for example, OpenAI. Number two, how is it actually programmed? We tell you that it's through past conversational data, for example, past romantic conversations happening with someone else, and we tell you it's likely to be filtered to all the positives for the incentives I'll be talking about later. Now, before that, who actually sells and distributes the AI? I tell you that's the companies who pay them. What are their incentives in today's debate? I tell you that these companies want to earn profit, and these companies want long-term users for them to be able to gain long-term funding. Why is this likely? Because these people want to stay profitable, and when they do this, they are likely to feed into people's positive reinforcements, because if you tell them something negative, they are unlikely to stay on your platform. If you tell them every day, you are the best man in the world, they are likely to stay and likely to want to talk to you. If you tell them, hey, you are extremely toxic, they are likely to turn away from your AI when the second it happens. Now, what do who are the people who are likely to opt in? I tell you, it's 3 levels. Number one are how people who are unable to find real life love. It looks like number one, toxic behavior in real life and people do not like them in the first place. Number two, they're extremely unlikable. And number three, are how they are unable to find ideal types. But next, what do these AI relationships actually look like? I tell you that it perpetuates extreme positivity because people have tons of models to choose from. They can just choose whichever model which best fits their criteria. People can just choose whichever models that they like, and whichever models which reinforce them. It means that they're likely to choose more obedient models, less argumentative models. And we tell you, okay, the impact of this is that there is no emulation to real love because AI can only talk to you. And number two, how there is simply no physical touch. There's simply nothing more than this conversation because people will feel an extreme clear separation when the only thing these AI models can do is talk to you. Now, even if now I'll move on to my argument. The argument is simple here. The entire case coming from up is that it perpetuates real life toxicity. How is this likely to happen? It's because that people feel every single idea of theirs must be validated, and AI exclusively feeds into this when they tell you you're the best man in the world, your behavior is so amazing, you are so nice. People are forced to believe that everything they do is extremely beneficial, everything they do is accepted by society. Why is this exclusive to AI on site opposition? Now, we tell you number one, there is zero objection from any ideas or wants. It also means that they tolerate toxic behaviors which will never be trained to stop people because they want people to feed into their positive reinforcements because they do not want to turn people away from these AI models insofar as you tell them that, oh, you're a terrible person, this behavior is extremely toxic. They are not going to stay and these companies are not going to profit. So we tell you there's no incentive for them to actually be neutral in this case. What is the delta on site opposition? We tell you that humans are put on a dangerous behavior because they have an incentive to protect themselves. We tell you that in a human world, people want to protect themselves from harm, which means that they are likely to call out toxic behavior, they are likely to stop toxic behavior. For example, if your girlfriend is being extremely rude, extremely argumentative, you're likely to break up with your girlfriend, you're likely to stop your girlfriend. But it's unlikely to happen in AI because these companies want to feed into the perceptions of these people. Now, impacts here are very clear on how people push their AI chat behaviors onto real people because it is an expected response of positivity. Things like domestic violence happens, things like verbal abuse happens because when you tell your girlfriend in real life something or tell your friends in real life something and they say it is wrong, you are likely to be extremely mad because the only thing you have learned for your entire life is that everything I say, people will obey because that is what AI models feed into. Now, one note, you need to note that side government has zero successful opt-out for people who buy into AI because they do not know how to treat people properly. Everything they do is just validated. It means that toxic behavior is likely to also bleed into platonic relationships because for people's cognitive bias, there is no direct switch between romantic relationships and their real life friends. It means that people are likely to exhibit toxic behaviors to their real life friends as well and not just exclusive to their behaviors in relationships. Opposition tells you that people eventually have to interact with people in real life. This is something that government cannot defend. We tell you the simple stance is that people have to behave properly because they have to interact with people in real life. If there is like some social stigma or like some social negativity, they are also unlikely to solve this problem on site government. An example is simple. people are addicted to explicit material in status quo. People watch highly curated versions of sexual experiences. This means that they then expect that this is to happen in real life. But there is literally no exact representation of the reality, because these companies want people to watch their videos, want to make money from these videos. It means that there is extremely violent behaviors towards their partners because they expect these super curated versions in the media to be actually happening in real life. We tell you the very clear impact here is that harms people in society because people are not protected, people are likely to be more aggressive towards people in real life. The comparative on our side is extremely simple. Op does not give this la-la land for people to build a foundation of their horrible behavior. It puts a reasonable balance when people in real life stop their toxic behaviors from the get-go. They will never form this perception of infinite gratification and approval, no matter what. We tell you we stop it from the start. We do not allow toxic behavior to perpetuate, proud to oppose.
I'd like to thank the opposition leader for his speech, and now would like to invite the Deputy Prime Minister to give her speech. Hear, hear.
I hope the mic is up. I love you, Rachel. Okay, so yeah, like all the other speakers of the floor, I would also like to offer some words of gratitude and acknowledgement. Firstly, thank you to my debate organization, KFDI, for providing me with countless pieces of free training over the last few months. Thank you specifically to my coach, Ryan Rayner. You are the goat of RMT. You are so cool. Lastly, thank you to my honorable opponents lodge. You guys are very cool. Thank you to my team S1. I couldn't have believed that we can get this far, and I intend to finish this on a high note. What else? Let me think. Sorry, wait. This is a lot of pressure. Thank you to the organizers of SSIDC. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to participate in this tournament, since this is my last year here, and I'm so honored to be standing on the stage before you all today. Alright, with that, I'll begin my speech. Call opposition Julius Caesar the way they stabbed their own case in the back 26 times with their setup before going into their arguments. I don't think I even need to respond to their case meaningfully, as long as their own case knives itself, contradicts itself on so many fronts that they don't even have a coherent case at the end of the first speech. Two things I'm going to be doing in my case then. I'm going to be providing a few responses to opposition's main pushes, mainly on how I want to re-clarify our stance first of all, and talk about how the AI response, whether or not the AI responses are meaningful, engaging, or actually meaningful for these people. Secondly, I'll be talking about how we endorse negative behaviors and how that leads to real life abuse. And thirdly, I'll be talking about how their characterization of how profit incentivized companies wanting people to stay long term completely negates all of their arguments from the get-go. Before that, and after that, I'll forward you an extension on how exclusively on government are we able to actually reduce abuse and not increase it in the sense that opposition would like to posit to you. Firstly, I want to clarify our stance here, where we allow people to enter romantic relationships, and we can prove that those connections are genuine and meaningful, which we have given you countless pieces of structural analysis to do in first, that leader opposition has not really responded to, or at the very least, we can make people feel like they are loved, and that they are validated, and that there's someone in this world who wants them. We think that as long as we're able to provide this opportunity for people, insofar as we openly endorse it and support it, that is better for society in the long run. That's better for people who can't find love. That's better for people who just don't really care about it in general and could just go and date an AI bot if they wanted to. Firstly, I want to talk about how L wants to posit to you that responses and engagement are not meaningful when it comes to AI chatbots. Note first of all that it's not true. The AI responses are literally generated in a way that is meant to appeal to your emotions, that is meant to connect with you and resonate with you, or else you wouldn't be pulled to stay in this AI relationship and continue talking to this AI chatbot. That means that their characterization of profit incentivized companies wanting customers to stay long term means that they have an incentive to make these AI chatbots have as emotional, engaging, and responsive responsive answers as possible. But secondly, even if that were true, right? We already told you in first about how people will find emotional engagement and connection anyway, even if the AI chatbot itself isn't emotionally engaging. We tell you how people still say please and thank you to ChatGPT, even though they're not
not really like a real human being, and you know that, and they don't really do anything besides provide you with factual information, people still have emotional connections and still resonate with these things insofar as people are capable of building emotional connections by themselves. But then secondly, on endorsing negative behaviors and providing real-life abuse. Note, panel, that this analysis is contingent on whether or not these people will actually intend to date people in real life anyway, whether or not they really want to go out and engage with relationships with people meaningfully in real life anyway, insofar as Lau already agrees with us that people who engage in AI relationships are often those who have already given up on real life relationships, who can't find love elsewhere. Insofar as that's the case, I don't know why this stands, insofar as they probably aren't going to want to date people in real life anyway. But thirdly, on profit incentivized companies wanting people to stay long term, note this is also a contradiction to their response on toxicity and negative behavior. Because if you want people to stay, and want people who are going to stay forever under your side of the house in these AI relationships, and are going to continue to use these AI chatbots for the rest of their life, then these people probably won't leave their AI girlfriends, and they probably won't end up dating real people anyway, because you never outline that as the end goal of people who want to date AI girlfriends. This is like a huge, this hinges on the idea that people will eventually date people in real life anyway. And if you want to talk about platonic connections and how people will end up being abusive, I think that people are going to I think that first of all, the abuse is mitigated on our side for the extension that I'm going to forward to you. But secondly, that generally people are not going to be I think that the notion and the idea of abuse isn't that likely insofar as people still have a cognitive understanding of what other people want from them. They know that people don't want to date them because there's something wrong with them. And as long as they can find someone who's unconditionally willing to accept them, we think that this helps them personally work through how they're going through in life right now. This personally helps them actually look inward and reflect on it. Even if it's just endless positive reinforcement without any real change, I think that people have the capacity to think critically for themselves and to think and to change independently. But then before I go on to my extension, are there any POIs? Yes.
Who is it to say that the AI relationships aren't going to be abusive since it's programmed by humans and for humans?
Okay, great. AI relationships being abusive in and of itself, we tell you that even if the person who is using the AI chatbot is going to be abusive, that it doesn't matter because the AI isn't a real person anyway. But if you want to talk about AI chatbots being abusive, again, that contradicts with your setup on how AIs, how companies want these people to stay long term, how they want people to buy into this system, and how they want people to stay with their AI girlfriends forever. This means specifically that they're going to make sure that these AI girlfriends aren't going to be abusive towards their human partners, that they aren't going to be toxic, and that they aren't going to reinforce unhealthy patterns and behaviors. We tell you that insofar as that is the case, your PRI doesn't stand. But then on extension on reducing abuse then, because if I can prove this to you, I show how exclusively government lessens the worst aspects of relationships, and it lessens the overall harm of society and mitigates the problems that opposition has posited to you in this debate, even if they still stand at this point. Why is this true? I think that as long as we can largely mitigate things like incel culture on our side of the house, when AI relationships are presented as an option that these people can gravitate to. Because even if they choose to be horrible people to their AI girlfriends, even if they abuse and mistreat and are violent to their AI girlfriends, there is no harm done to actual people. You are treating in reality, unfeeling, uncaring machine horribly. That doesn't affect them in any sense of the word. That doesn't affect the people around you, the girls that you might end up dating, or opposition who you might end up abusing anyway. Because I don't really see how abuse is a mutually exclusive thing, first of all. And secondly, just real life people are not going to face the life-ruining effects of abuse if those people do happen to find real partners to begin with. We tell you that as long as opposition is pushing real life partners as a metric, which by the way, not a lack of counterfactual. I don't really understand what they want us to do on their side of the house. Am I supposed to find a real life girlfriend? Am I supposed to not date anyone at all? This is really unclear at the end of this debate, and as long as the characterization is still clashing with the setup, I think it's far too late to actually state the case in DLO and in WIP, insofar as there is no coherent case, insofar as any bit of the argumentation you try to make is heavily contrasted by your setup. I think this is a proposition win from the get-go. I think that even if my government whip wasn't able to come up and engage, even my government whip didn't need to come up, even if a government reply didn't need to come up, I think we still win this debate. St. Joseph Private School for the win. Ora et labora.
I'd like to thank the Deputy Prime Minister for her speech. And now, would like to invite the Deputy Opposition Leader to give her speech. Hear, hear.
heard at this volume? Okay. What about like this? If I start shouting, it's not hard to hear, right? No. Okay. You give me a few seconds. I have to arrange some things. Alright, so like everyone else, I'm extremely lucky to have a host of people to thank. So, firstly, I'd like to thank the organizers of SSIDC as well as the VIPs who came to watch us today. We are so honored to be sharing the room with a lot of people. And I'm extremely grateful for organizing a tournament that was so great for my last year debating in school. Secondly, I'd like to thank my teammates Zoe and Keegan, whose help I have been so grateful for throughout this tournament. I'd like to thank the rest of the Launch Heroes League, the debate club. It has been an honor to be your president for this year. Lastly, I'd like to thank my coaches, so Ryan Wong, Ryan Rayner, and also Omar, for their endless help that has gotten me to this point. I'm extremely grateful for all the guidance that I've received. The last people I'd like to thank are also my opponents on the other side. We have sparred many times before, and I like to say that our championship has also happened many times before because we've sparred against each other. But let's make this one a great one. Starting my speech in 3, 2, and 1. The side of proposition drops rose-colored glasses over the most self-destructive people in society and calls it love. They tell people who think they have no other option in life that yes, they have no other option, go talk to ChatGPT instead. I am horrified that this is the stance they have chosen to take. I'm incredibly proud to oppose. Before I move on to one argument that directly integrates most of my rebuttal, as in there is no fulfillment coming from these relationships, there's a few responses I have to make towards the second speaker of proposition. Because they told you largely 4 things. Firstly, the AI relationships are genuine and meaningful. Secondly, that people will not want to date others if they opt into AI, so abuse doesn't manifest regardless. Thirdly, no one will stay for long if AI chatbots are programmed to be abusive. And fourthly, crucially, there is no harm done to any single person if someone decides to talk to AI for most of their relationships. Here's the problem with the first thing. They say the AI relationships are genuine and meaningful. Their reasoning for this is because they are programmed to appeal to your emotions. Just because something is programmed to appeal to your emotions does not mean that it is meaningful. We think it's specifically that they are programmed to appeal to your every want and need, which is the direct opposite of dealing with actual human people, that takes away the meaning and that takes away any kind of fulfillment they are likely to receive. But secondly, they say that abuse doesn't manifest because people will not opt into dating others if they want to opt into AI. Note here that their case only deals with the short spectrum of people who really have no other option. So what about the people that want to be in AI relationships for the fun of it? It doesn't apply to them. But even if so, we say that only for the short spectrum of people that only want to opt into AI romantic relationships, it still bleeds into their daily life. Because we tell you that they don't just have AI relationships romantically, they have human friendships and human relationships, and I'm going to prove to you later on why that toxic behavior is likely to bleed into that. But thirdly, they say that if chatbots are really so abusive, no one will stay and use them. The logic underlying this is simple, right? Their assumption is that companies want AIs to be healthy because they want people to stay. Note how problematic this is. If we manage to prove that AI is only fulfilling in the short term, and the side that wins is the side that proves that companies have specific incentives to make AIs be programmed to specifically appeal to dopamine rushes, and that is what is going to make the most amount of people stay for that short amount of time. But fourthly, there's no harm done to people on the ground. I'm going to deal with this directly in my argument, but before that, one major clarification here. Firstly, they say that there's a glaring contradiction in our speech, and I'd like to tackle this. They say that people know the difference between AI and in real life, but their behavior still bleeds. Okay, this is how we break that deadlock. Yes, people will know the difference between AI and real life. And yes, maybe they do know that the person they're talking to is not AI. But it's not about what they know, it's about what they want to believe. People want to believe that the AI is real. So even if it's not real, the minimal happiness that they get, the dopamine rush that they get from dealing with AI pushes them into constantly talking to it. But secondly, people also want to believe that their behavior is correct. So they are going to believe that their toxic behavior is not something that should be condoned. That should be condemned. Onto my argument then, on no fulfillment. And note that this is going to take down most of their case about having meaningful relationships. So why is this true? Short analogy. If you're programmed into a machine that gives you a fake life where you achieve every single thing that you want, it still lacks meaning because you know that none of that is real. This is by the mechanism of cognitive dissonance. You know that it isn't real back in the back of your mind. Even if you gain happiness from it, it still shatters your happiness the minute where you go back and you think, hey, this isn't real. There are also daily reminders that it isn't real because AI just simply cannot act the same way that humans do. Don't fool them into thinking don't let them fool you into thinking the otherwise. Human interaction is complex, right? Roses aren't real when you know that the AI is programmed to be a good boyfriend. Roses aren't real when you know that the AI is programmed to cater to your every need. So why is this important? Two outcomes. Firstly, toxic people are going to switch back to real people eventually. It's boring and there's no fulfillment and they know it's not real. So now behavior in romantic relationships have changed for the worse because now they've practiced toxic behaviors. They are likely going to bleed, and I'll also be clarifying this later. But thirdly, we tell you that this is important because now it's harder to make the transition back into romantic relationships because they are not used to their romantic partner not saying no to them. Because when I'm uncommunicative or when I explicitly blame my AI girlfriend or my AI boyfriend for something that they definitely didn't do, when I explicitly use toxic behaviors, I think that it's something that is okay because no one tells me that it's something that is not okay. And because I'm pushed into this and I want to believe that the AI is real, I'm thinking that if my AI boyfriend tells me that what I'm doing is correct, then that should mean the most for human relationships as well. Onto another clarification then. Where does abusive behavior actually come from? Abusive behavior is reinforced in a cycle. No one grows up abusive, but it works on permission mechanisms. I abuse someone, and if no one says anything, I think that it's okay to abuse them again and again. This is crucial, because the more they abuse an AI or chatbot or whatever, the more they push themselves into believing that it is something that I'm allowed to do, the more that they think they can abuse people. But secondly, on our case then, toxic behavior can be changed, because many people don't know that they are toxic until people tell them. And when they are outcast and they opt into AI chatbots, you give them the excuse to say everyone else is wrong because my AI girlfriend tells me that I'm a good boyfriend. This argument applies to toxic behavior of all scales. For people who are going to be toxic anyway, their behavior is further exacerbated the minute you allow them to promote these kinds of behavior to themselves. But lastly, one further preempt on their case. They say, if I have the freedom, I can and will be an incel because I think that is my freedom of choice. I'm going to tell you how he directly takes this down. Your freedom does not matter if it harms others. You have a freedom to cheat on your partner, but it's still morally wrong because it emotionally hurt your partner when you cheated on them. The same thing happens, okay? If you are toxic to your AI girlfriend, and this has built up a cycle of toxic behavior that bleeds into your platonic relationships, because things like uncommunicative behaviors and things like expecting people to always listen to you bleeds into relationships of all kinds. It does not matter whether you are free to do something or not. It doesn't help the members of society when people never properly learn. For outcasts, more fulfillment comes from bonding together, from actually recognizing that your issue is something that you should care about. When you think that because I'm toxic, no one wants to listen to me, the solution is not to turn away from society. It's from recognizing your behaviors, and that's exactly what AI doesn't do. On the comparative, we have more people who actually recognize that they are the problem. But secondly, we said that we have better and more fulfilling romantic relationships. I've taken down their main impact of fulfillment here by telling you that you cannot get fulfillment from AI relationships, and as long as they do not take that down, their entire impacts don't matter.
The speaker spoke for 7 minutes and 22 seconds. Before we further our debate for today, attention to all debaters, please stop giving shout out to people to ensure that we stay within the time frame. Thank you. And with that, I'd like to thank the Deputy Opposition Leader for her speech. Now, we would like to invite the Government Whip to give her speech. Hear, hear.
speech. I'll begin my speech in 3. No, I'm making this up. Okay, not here. Okay. I'll begin my speech in 3, 2, 1.
The greatest thing I'll never recover from is getting romantically rejected by Joel Marisahi. But so long as I have AI to tell me that it was her loss to begin with, I will be fine. So proud to propose. 2 things that I'll do in my speech today. I'll touch on the whole clash on fulfillment, then like later on toxicity. So first thing on fulfillment, right? What they do throughout this entire debate is they don't give us meaningful fulfillment, right? What they do in the very first speech is they reject the existence of people who struggle to find connections with other people because of social anxiety, because of their appearance or whatever. They never meaningfully engage. This uncharitability is enough for them to lose this entire debate. But I digress, let me continue. So what do they tell you, right? They tell you these people don't exist because they'll find friends anyway. That's not true, right? Because, okay, these people, if you struggle with social anxiety, clearly you struggle like talking to people and stuff. And even if you can find some friends, right? What guarantees you a girlfriend or a boyfriend or a partner in general? You don't engage with this motion in this case. But secondly, if it wasn't an issue, then AI partners wouldn't exist, right? It was so easy to find a girlfriend or a boyfriend that most people wouldn't opt into Replica to begin with. So, and crucial thing to note is how they never engage with our stakeholders. They solely focus on toxic people when there are other people that these AI things are dedicated to in the first place, which are people who also struggle with social interactions, not just toxic people that they chose to focus on their side. So what did he tell you about the benefits, right? We tell you that fulfillment can happen because companies, like they said, companies want to profit, right? So how do you profit? You make sure that people enjoy this experience, and because there are more companies on the market, there's now a competitive thing that ensures that these AI chatboxes will get better, they will adapt, they will become better for people, become more engaging, feel more real, and give people more connection. So we literally tell you this, but they kind of ignore it, right? So even if, right, the biggest push on their end was how people won't get physical connection. So let me weigh this out, right? Physical connection, sure, we don't get physical connection, but we still get all the benefits. You still get someone who loves you, okay, something that loves you unconditionally, something who doesn't judge you, something that validates you. At the very least, you still get someone to talk to. On their end, they provide no means, no communication to these people who struggle in the first place. They just ignore the existence of that, which is enough for them to lose. But even when you have no physical connection, all our benefits and the harms that we pose to you still manifest, right? We tell you they still have someone to talk to, and the harms from being lonely, inward, outward, don't manifest. We tell you inwardly, when people don't have anyone to talk to, they blame themselves. This can lead to depression and worsen their situation already because they blame themselves, right? They never responded to this, and so it's enough for them to lose already. So I think I'm done with that. Okay, now we're going to talk about toxic people, which is their main goal, is proving that toxic people are bad and they exist. Okay, so what did they tell you, right? They tell you that toxic people don't change, which is something I want to emphasize on later, but basically they tell you that these AI chat boxes reinforce the behavior of these people, and so they treat other people badly. So one of the big pushes from Joel's speech is that you have a right to be an incel, but you don't have a right to hurt other people. My question is okay, this is assuming, once again, that people will return to other people and have human relationships, right? But that is a bold assumption to make, right? Because if you're saying that these companies want to keep them long term, then of course they're going to make this AI so enjoyable that they're less likely to leave for a human relationship. And as Keegan said, right, people leave when you are toxic. Yeah, maybe they stay for a while, at most maybe 1 or 2 years, but they will leave eventually, right? When the friends and their families tell them this is not good for them, they will leave. So if your point is that people will leave, their entire push, on their side, right, is that they benefit, they help people change, because when you're toxic to someone, they leave. But I don't see how this works, right? You cannot have your cake and eat it too. If your point is that people will leave toxic relationships, then of course they will turn to AI anyway, because everyone will leave them. But if no one leaves, then how does your side manifest any of your benefits? So that's one thing I don't understand from their end, right? But okay, what do we tell you were the harms that they never truly attacked? So we told you the outward harm is that instead of blaming themselves for toxicity, okay, even if we're charitable and we assume some people will acknowledge their problems and change, some people will not. Some people will stay toxic. Some narcissists will think, it's okay that I'm behaving this way, this is just the way I am. Because Keegan said some people are just naturally toxic anyway, right? So these people don't change. What do? They blame the world, they blame women. This is why incel culture exists in the first place. And then this happens worse because there's a large echo chamber of incels just on Reddit, right? Promoting this idea to each other, telling each other it's okay to act this way. And the harms we posed to you were twofold, right? One, this promotes more violence and harm to women because you blame women for not taking you as a bad boyfriend. And secondly, you're promoting unhealthy relationships. This pushes the idea that just because your partner is rude to you and they don't respect you, it's okay. Because if you reject them, if you break up with them, this means that you're a bad person. Because this is what the incels want you to believe, right? This echo chamber, this whole group is what manifests these harms in the first place. And insofar as they can take it down, which I think is pretty late anyway, they cannot win this debate. So let me weigh this out, right? In the best case, right? Okay, on the best case, I guess it's safe to assume that toxic people don't really change. Because it's in their nature, I guess. Let's weigh this out. On our side, right? On our side, we have people that at least they have more people all into AI. So people have AI, right? On their side, people have human relationships. Their best case, okay, some people will leave those toxic relationships, but the toxicity still goes out to the people that you're interacting with. Because even if you can try to suppress your toxicity, that's inherently just who you are, that's how your brain functions. You're likely to repeat these patterns again within at the span of 3 months, so the harm still go to human beings. But for us, right, when they have AI to opt into, even if their first relationship was toxic, at least at the end of the day, when these people leave, then they turn to AI in the long term anyway. So most of the harm, most of the abuse goes to AI. So I don't understand the whole thing on how we're violating people's rights, because we proved to you through all 3 speeches how these harms, how all this abuse is likely to go to AI anyway, because it's an outlet for them to vest their toxicity in. So none of their harms manifest. In our worst case, we still win this debate. But before I carry on with the final thing, any points?
So your solution to incel culture is to give them a platform to practice incel behavior.
Okay, let me take this down to the example that Keegan gave, right? Talk about sexual fantasies, erotic fantasies being played out in anime, right? The reason this exists is because no matter how much you tell these people that this is bad, this is still a desire within them, this is who they are, you cannot change them. Some people are able to change, but some are not, because this is who they are. This is why these platforms exist, because they cannot get rid of it. It was so easy to get rid of, this wouldn't be a thing, right? But the issue is you cannot change them. That's why we give them a platform to vet it out. We literally tell you how if you express this outward, sure, some people will get hurt, but long-term people will leave you. That was your push as well. That was your exact mechanism why people will change, so you cannot doubt that now. Now, the benefit on our side we offer you exclusively is we give them this outlet. They can be as toxic as they want, but it won't hurt anyone. And if they just so happen to allow this toxicity to slip a little bit, they will get backlash, they will get consequences of doing it to actual real people. So, as you can see, throughout this entire debate, Sarawak was just repeating irrelevant points that we have taken down already from our very first speech. So proud to propose.
The speaker spoke for 7 minutes and 7 seconds. I'd like to thank the government whip for her speech, and now would like to invite the opposition whip to give her speech. Here.
Testing. Am I audible from this volume? Okay. I know I said no more call-outs, but I'll take a few seconds to show my appreciation to my team, my coach, our teachers, our Rowdy Euros team over there, and my parents are somewhere in the crowd today. So yeah. Beginning my speech in 3, 2, 1. Government's dream of a tall, muscular boyfriend gets minimized to their mother's computer. Even if the case government chooses to run is that of people with physical deformities and extreme social issues, opposition tells you there's nothing they win on insofar that we prove to you how people must eventually engage with society in the same way or another. Not how, at best, the biggest impact government can claim is within relationships, but we tell you it's unlikely that it's likely that it bleeds into platonic relationships. It's evident that they've wandered into a battle of wits unarmed and unprepared.